Good afternoon. My name is Alan, and I am going to guide you through the integration of QuickBooks and Workshop software. This video is primarily aimed at our customers over in the American market, and it will relate to both gold and silver customers equally. The process is going to be exactly the same. So, before we actually start the integration, what I would like to do is I would like to introduce the concept of how to manage what your integration will look like with QuickBooks. And to do that, what I'm going to do is enter into the product set for a moment. We're going to go into a particular product, doesn't matter which one. And here you will see that there are multiple different types of products that you can allocate in Workshop software. So this is a tire, for example, so it is allocated to the type tires, right? The other options which are available to you are parts, labor, sublet repairs, consumables, and accessories. These are all accounts which you can set up in your QuickBooks file, and they will report in your profit and loss as per these specific sections, all right? So that is a very, very important point to consider. I'm going to give you an example of several different strategies of how you can set up the reporting or the mapping, as we call it, between Workshop software and QuickBooks. So I've prepared an example here. All right. So some of the choices that you have are as follows. You can set all of the revenue which you receive in Workshop software and map it to one account in QuickBooks. And you could call that account sales. All right. Another option which you can use is you can allocate all of your labor revenue to one labor account in your QuickBooks profit and loss and one stock account. All right. So if that were the case, for example, and we looked here, what we would see is that we would sit there and go that sublets and consumables and accessories and tires would all be mapped to the parts account, whereas all the labor that you would have in Workshop software would map to the labor account. Right. This will work for you. However, it will not give you as clear a picture as you might want in your profit and loss when you're looking at your QuickBooks accounts. And so what we do recommend is that you map your revenue accounts in QuickBooks as per the product type. So for example, labor, stock, consumables, accessories, tires, and sublets. An additional account which we strongly recommend that you use is freight in. And I will explain that as we go further down into the integration. So having given you that information, all right, what we're going to do now is we're going to move over to a QuickBooks account. And I'm going to show you how you can set up these accounts in preparation for your integration with Workshop software. So I open up my QuickBooks file. I go into the accounting section. I come down here to the chart of accounts, and here I have a list of all the accounts that are in my chart of accounts for this QuickBooks file. What I've done is I'll sort them as per the type, all right, and what we're looking for are the income accounts, all right. Now, a very, very important element to remember when you are setting up revenue accounts in QuickBooks in conjunction with Workshop software is to do the following, right? If I come over here and I edit this particular account, what I need to do is make sure that the account type is income, so it reports in the proper place in the profit and loss. But most important is the detail type. And the detail type that you need to allocate it to is sales of product income. So this relates to any single product that is sold in Workshop software, whether it be labor or stock or tires or whatever. It always needs to be sales of product income. Now, the next thing that we do is we come in here. If you already have an existing QuickBooks file and you're new to Workshop software, you may want to separate your existing income account and mark or create your accounts in such a way that you can very clearly see what revenue came from Workshop software and what was in your system before. So to do that, what I would do is I would come in here and I'd go WS so that I know that it's coming from Workshop software. And I'm going to call this account labor. All right, then what I'm going to do is I will automatically, well, not automatically, I will just come in here and I will copy that and paste it into the description as well. And then I'm going to come save and close that. All right. Now, because it was a certain type prior to my setup here, it is telling me that it may affect my accounting and reporting. So I'm going to go, yes, that's exactly what I would like to do. And now if we look at our income accounts, we will see that we have one called WS Labor. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to the top of the page in my chart of accounts, come across the top, and create new accounts. So again, I choose the correct account type, which again is income. And here it's going to be sales or product income. This one is going to be WS Parts. Given that you only do this once, it's very, very good idea that you actually come in, spend a couple of seconds, get it all nice and neat. All right, so that you don't ever have to worry about it again. So copy that again, come in here, paste it. Okay, save and close. Again. And as you can see, it really doesn't take very long to do this. And it will give you a superlative result when looking at your accounts. So the next one I'm going to do will be consumables. Copy that, paste that in there, save and close. And if we come down, as you can see, we're starting to get more and more of the accounts in here. So this is the sublets account. Now, the sublets account is your subcontractor's account. If you ever use external contractors or external companies to assist you in workshop jobs that you have in, could be anything like grinding discs for brakes, welding jobs, towing services, etc., etc. All right, you would classify those as sublets. So I'm going to save that account. Next, I'm going to come in here, income and sales or product income. Last one I'm going to do is I'm going to go WS and I'm going to do tires. Copy that and paste that in here. And there we have it. All the accounts that I particularly need for the income reporting in my profit and loss report in my QuickBooks file. The next thing that I would do is I would come in and I always want to have a cost of sales account. So if I come in, look for an account, I'm going to create one. Okay, and again, it's going to be a slightly different account from income. It's going to be expenses. All right, I come in here and it's going to be, hold on a second. Don't want it to be any of these. The type that I want will be, hold on a second, cost of goods sold. All right, this is cost of labor. All right, but I can change that. I'm going to go other costs of services or supplies and materials. And in here, what I would do in the name so that it shows up properly in my profit and loss, I would go there and go cost of goods sold. There we have it. Copy and paste. Save that. All right. One thing I did forget to do, which I will come in and do right now, is I'm going to come in and set up one more income account, and this is going to be for freight. So if you ever are in the situation where you do pass on freight, or you get revenue from freight costs from your customers, you would not use freight as a line item in your workshop product file. You would simply put onto the customer's invoice that they have a freight charge. That will map to the WS Freight income account. So come in there, because you will also have a freight expense account. So I'm going to just call it that. So I differentiate it from the freight expense account. Copy that, paste it in here, and we're good to go. Okay, so now I have all the accounts that I need in my QuickBooks file, and I'm now in a position where I can actually do my integration. So I'm going to go back to my workshop software file. I'm going to come over to the left-hand side, integrations, the second option down, which is accounting integrations, and I'm linking to QuickBooks. So I click that on there. All right. The next thing I'm asked to do is to connect to QuickBooks because it tells me that I'm not currently authorized. So I go ahead and do that. This is an advisory that we put up for all of our customers. Please read it very, very carefully because it tells you that if you already have customers and suppliers in your QuickBooks file, all right, then you need to make sure that in your workshop software file, you do not have the same customers and suppliers. Because if you link the two systems together and they both have the same people in them, then what you're going to end up with are duplicate records. So you need to make sure that you do not copy your suppliers and your customers from QuickBooks if you have an existing file, and then import them into workshop software and then do an integration. The whole purpose of an integration is simply that the two applications, QuickBooks and Workshop Software, can talk to each other, and therefore they'll see the data that is in each of their own systems, all right, and they'll start to share that data. So like I said, if you have customers in Workshop Software, you want to make sure that you don't already have those customers in your QuickBooks file, right? So please have a very good read of that, and if you have any questions about this at all, please contact your local Workshop Software support people. Thank you. Just a moment, we're going to continue on and connect to the QuickBooks file. So it's asking me if I want to do that, and I go, yes, I'm going to continue. All right. Now, it takes me to QuickBooks, right? And it says it's connecting our workshop software file to the workshop software QuickBooks file. So I go, yes, that's fine, connect. The next step is it will take me back to workshop software. And now I have the integration page. And as you can see, we have all the accounts for all the different product types that you can actually map. So it's simply a matter of coming in here, dropping down the menu and going, I want to connect the labor revenue account, the labor accounts in workshop software to the labor account in QuickBooks. So there I go. Go to parts, same thing again. Consumables, there we have it. Accessories. Now, in my workshop, I don't sell accessories, all right? However, I do have to map this account to something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm going to map this account directly back to parts, okay? So I'm probably never going to use this and never going to allocate any products into as an accessory. But if I did, they would report in my profit and loss in QuickBooks under the parts account, right? Here we have tires, there's the tires, and here are our sublets. Here's your freight revenue account. And there is our freight revenue account over there. The customer credit refund account will be our bank account. And it looks like I haven't got a bank account set up yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this for the moment. And I'm going to go back to my QuickBooks file and go into my chart of accounts. And what I need to do is to set up a bank account. So I'll come in here, bank, that's fine. I'm going to call it my everyday bank account. There you go. Everyday check account. And I might want to identify it as a particular bank so that it's easy for me to understand it. So go Bank of America, for example. Right, there we go. Copy that in here, paste it in there. Great. All right. When do you want to start tracking your finances from this account in QuickBooks? And you can sit there. If you already have an existing file, this will already be set up for you. If it's a brand new account, you can come in here, or you can go beginning of the next month, beginning of the financial year, etc. I'm just going to go today, right? If I had an existing balance, I might come in here and go, my balance is $12,859.52. There we go, save and close. Come back in here. Now, because I'm coming back into the integration page and I've made a change to the QuickBooks file, what I need to do is to refresh my page in Workshop software. So I'm going to press on F5 to refresh the page. I do that. Okay. And now I should actually see my everyday today bank account from the Bank of America. That's it. All right. Now, the next thing we're looking at is the expense side of the equation. So I have my vendor invoice account. That will be my cost of sales account. So this is an older QuickBooks file, so I'd sit there and go, I might have balances in this cost of sales account. I want to separate them out from the previous cost of sales. So I use the new account that I set up. Right? It will still report as an expense in your profit and loss. So therefore, it's just going to allocate it to a different account. So you can see the differences between pre-workshop software and post-workshop software. Now, my freight purchases account. Once again, it looks like I don't have one. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to create a new expense account. So I come in there, expenses. And let's see what I've got here. Hold on a second. Repair and maintenance. I might classify that as a cost of sale. Shipping, freight, and delivery, that will do. In there, I'd go WS freight out. Save and close. Back to Workshop software. Once again, I'm going to come in here, F5 to refresh the page again. And because I didn't save the Workshop software record the last time that I left it, I'm going to come and remap these again. So there's my bank account. Okay. My vendor invoice account is my cost of goods sold. My freight purchase account is freight out, differentiated from freight in. Customer payment account is going to be into my bank account. Unfortunately, my supplier payments need to be made, and these will also come out of my everyday bank account, but you can nominate another account if you'd like. The customer credit account will be your bank account. If you issue a customer credit in cash, right, it will come out of your bank account. Your vendor credit account will be, again, your bank account, all right, if you get a cash credit from your vendors. Then you have your sales tax, all right? So if we have sales tax free, we can go here and go, it is non-taxable. Sales tax free is again going to be non-taxable. So that's one for sales, one for purchases. And then the sales tax and the purchase tax type will be as per your particular state. So when you set up your QuickBooks file, you will actually need to go into your file and set up the tax regime which is applicable to your state. And it'll be your custom sales tax. Okay, and that would be your custom sales tax there. And of course, QuickBooks will know where your QuickBooks file is residing. You know, whether it's in Illinois or in Nevada or in Texas or Oregon or wherever. All right, and it will apply the correct sales tax as per your state. So we have now mapped every single account in the integration page. There is an error message up here. This error message will appear whenever you come into the integrations page to make a change. All right. So if the first thing you have to do before you save this is you close off this error message. Okay, we close that and then we save, and you'll get a green banner across the top of the page. And if everything is correct, right, we will not get an error message back. Okay. So there we have it where we do not have an error message, right? This is telling us that as far as we know, the integration between QuickBooks and Workshop software is working absolutely correctly. So the next thing I'm going to do is, all right, you can now see also that you have the icon up here in the top right-hand quadrant, okay, of Intuit QuickBooks. And if you click on this, right, what it will do is it will sync across between QuickBooks and Workshop software. It will bring across your customers from QuickBooks, and it will also take your customers in Workshop software and send them over to QuickBooks. Now, generally what I tend to do is I'm going to test to see whether or not the integration is actually working. And in order to do that, what we're going to do is create a customer invoice, and we're going to process the invoice. And after we've processed the invoice and double checked it in QuickBooks, we will then come back to Workshop software, process the payment for that invoice, and then go back to QuickBooks and see if that's come across as well. Right, so here we go. We create an invoice for, let's say, Benjamin Todd. There we have it. Link the vehicle. And we're going to sell him 1 hour's worth of labor. There we have it, 1 hour, $90. This is a cash customer, so we will process that invoice instantly, and we will also get the payment window. So the first thing I'm going to do, come in here, process that. Double check to make sure everything is on my invoice as I expect, right? I have the labor. Make sure I get the mechanics times in there, add all the parts and so on, double check everything to make sure I'm happy. Once I am, I go, yes, I'm going to process the invoice. Here is my payment window. Now, as I mentioned, what we're going to do is we're going to look at QuickBooks to see whether or not the processed invoice has already gone over to QuickBooks. So we're going to leave this here. I'm going to come back into QuickBooks, come to all sales. Now, that hasn't come through yet, so I'm going to come in here, have a look. And there we have our invoice from Benjamin Todd. All right, for the $90 labor plus the sales tax. So we can see that the invoice is here. Come into all sales. There it is. And we can see that the status of the invoice is that it is still open. So I'm now going to come back to Workshop software, and I'm going to process this payment. Now I have a choice. I can process it as cash or credit card or direct deposit. In this particular instance, I'm going to go credit card, take a payment for $96.53 from the customer, and process the payment. As you can see at the top of the page, the payment was processed. Here is a copy of the invoice that I can then hand off to the customer. And what we're going to do now is go back to QuickBooks, and we're going to refresh the screen because this is telling us that this invoice is still open. So once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to press F5 to refresh the screen. And now we can see that the invoice has been paid. All right, $96.53. There was the original, well, here's the payment. There was the original invoice. So this transaction is now closed. If we pop into the invoice to have a look at it, we can see that it was labor, which was sold to the customer, and this is reporting to the labor account. All right, so on the profit and loss, it'll show us we've made $90 worth of labor revenue. So there is the proof that the integration is working correctly. The last thing that I would tend to do is to come back into my Workshop software file and see whether or not the customers that were in QuickBooks are also now in Workshop software. So I go back to my QuickBooks file for a moment, come back here, and I'm going to go into sales and customers. All right, so as we can see here, we have a whole series of records, and these are all the customers that have come through from Workshop software. There's Benjamin Todd, Bill Murray, Brian Gallagher. I put one in earlier on in the piece, which was Bob Seeger. And I don't see Mr. Seeger here at the moment. Oh, there he is, Mr. Bob Seeger. All right. And I also had a supplier, which I'd put into the system as well. So I'm going to go over to expenses and go to vendors. And I had created a vendor called Willamette Tires. All right. And there's the vendor there. These are the suppliers which have come across from Workshop software into my QuickBooks file now. So if we go back, we should get a perfect match. If I come into my customer file in Workshop software, there are my customers. There is Bob Seeger, who I created in my QuickBooks file. All right, that's the customers. If I come into the vendors, These are all the vendors which were already in Workshop software and have now gone across over to QuickBooks. And if I come in here and expand the record a bit, I should find Chamonix tires. There they are. All right. So there we have the proof that the integration between QuickBooks and Workshop software is working correctly. So thank you very much for listening to this video. There are additional videos that relate to the integration between QuickBooks and Workshop software, and they relate to the tax codes and setting up tax domains correctly. So you can always come into the user guides and resources up here in the top right quadrant. All right, go into the help guides and resources and look for the article that you're looking for or what it's related to, and you should be able to get all the information that you're looking for. Failing that, you can always get in touch with Workshop Software Support, and we're more than happy to help you at any time. Thank you very much for listening to the video. It's been a pleasure.